Hi guys, I'm Julian North and welcome back to my channel. So welcome back to another video, and last week I posted a couple of videos about YouTube celebrities and the drama between Abby Rayo and your boy Rice Gum. Check that video out. So in today's video, I decided to keep up the book reviews for any of you guys who take an interest in just one book that I talk about and review in the past couple of weeks, or are you just interested in the whole genre of realisms in the 18th and 19th century, or you like classical books, then come here, take a ride. And in today's video, brace yourself, it's gonna be a long ride, because in today's video we'll take a look at a book which I would say an infamous book and heavily criticized throughout the Victorian era, and that book is none other than Tess, written by Thomas Hardy. And yes, I did get a copy of this book by chance. I was going to this bookstore in Vincom, Hanoi, and then I saw this book at the bookstore of it, and I picked up it. It's not expensive, but at least I get the copy of it, you know. So now let's talk about Thomas Hardy's life. So Thomas Hardy was an English novelist and a poet. Though he heavily considered himself to be a poet, most of his poem wasn't published until after his death. He was born in the 2nd of June 1840 and passed away on the 11th of January 1918. He is a Victorian realism, following the footpaths of George Eliot, the author of Silas Marner, and many other infamous novels. And Thomas Hardy is also famous for many of his books, like Tess, here it is, books like Far from the Madding Crowd, The Withered Arm, and many others more. He was born on the 2nd of June 1840 and passed away on the 11th of January 1918. He was born in Upper Buckinghamshire or Higher Buckinghamshire, Buckhampton in Dorset, England. And he was born in a family who his father is a local builder and his mother, who is well read, educated him for about 8 years before he went to school, and he was educated at school. 8 years later, after being educated at 16, his formal education ended and he became an apprentice for one of the local builder. He would become an architecture and a builder and worked in London for many years in his life before settling down in Dorset and dedicated himself a sizable chunk of his life to writing. Now, as we have learned more about Thomas Hardy, let's take a look at Tess or Derbyfield. The plot of Tess of the Derbyfield gonna be spoiled, so you guys should take caution for it. You don't want to be spoiled, then you can actually skip to this part of the video right there. Okay, now let's jump straight in. So Tess of the Derbyfield started off in a midsummer night in the borough of Blackmore. An old peddler called Jack Derbyfield was walking home after having drunk himself in a public house. Yeah, and he do the work. He bumped into a parson who is also a historian called Parson Tringham, and this parson decided to inform Tess' father, Jack Derbyfield, about the news that Jack Derbyfield is actually one of the descendants of the noble ancient family called the D'Urbervilles. And soon after learning about the news, Tess' father, Jack D'Urbervilles, was excited. He decided to run home, brag about this to all his neighbors, people in the surrounding area, and talk about this with his wife, and persuade her to send the oldest daughter, Tess, to the mansion of Mrs. Derbyfield in the next village in next fields. Meanwhile, Tess was having a good time at the Maidie dance in the village, like where all the girls are gathered around wearing white dresses and jump around. There, she briefly exchanged glance with a young man, a good-looking one, of course. And this gotta be very crucial in the book later on, so take in mind and don't forget him, okay? So, after that, Tess is forced to go to Mrs. D'Urberville's estate in hope that Mrs. D'Urberville would recognize Tess to be her relative. But unfortunately, though, Mrs. D'Urberville is not related to Tess in any way, because her husband, the Simon Stocks, a business merchantman, changed his name to D'Urberville's after he retired. So all this is just a coincidence. There, she meets the lascivious Alec D'Urberville, who is Mrs. D'Urberville's son. Alec D'Urberville decided to seduce Tess and managed to get her a job at his mother's estate, looking after the poultry like the chicken, the goose, like the duck and other poultry animals. And Tess started to work there for months on end because she accidentally killed the family only source of income, the horse called Prince, in a freak accident on her way to the village to sell produce. Until one fateful night, after working there for months, one night, Alec D'Urberville, Mrs. D'Urberville's son, offered Tess a ride home, and he decided to ride her into the woods like a dark night, and he take advantages of her in the woods that night. After that, Tess knows that she doesn't love D'Urbervilles, so she decided to return back home and refuse the marriage proposal from Alec D'Urberville. There, she gave birth to her son, who she baptized and named Sorrow, but the baby dies after he's only born a couple of days, and Tess spent miserable months at home until she finally get a job at a Tobute's dairy farm. There, she spent a very contented, happy year, befriended with 3 girls called Izzy, Ratty, and Miriam. There, she was also introduced to a very educated man called Angel Clare. And we should learn that Angel Clare is the same guy. He's the same guy from the beginning of the book. He's the same guy exchanging glance with Tess. Soon after that, the two start falling in love, and Tess' 3 friends, although love this guy dearly, decided to give this guy up to Tess because they want Tess to feel happy. And during this time, Tess is always torn between confessing her past of being raped by Alec D'Urberville and refusing to talk about it. She did write a note to her husband, Angel Clare, but the note slipped under the carpet and he wasn't able to read the note. After the night of the wedding, the two decided a confession a little bit, between both of them. And although Tess forgave her husband, Angel Clare, for what he did in the past with another woman, Angel Clare isn't able to forgive his wife for she being taken advantages of. Let me bring it in context. He can't accept that she's not a virgin, okay? He decided to leave his wife unfaithfully, bought a ship to Brazil, give her tiny money to live on, and left for Brazil. Tess now managed to get a job and struggle on an unprosperous farm, working to make and plant turnips and work there for a couple of months before she soon learned from her sister Liza Lou that their mother, John D'Urberville, was very ill, and their father is not in the best condition, for the time he spent at the public house and do no work. So that's what cost his life. Tess quickly returned home, but there she actually stopped by to visit Angel Clare's family, her husband's family, but she is struck by the conversation and the gossip between Angel Clare's brothers, older brother, with his parents about the failure marriage between him and Tess. On the way home, she heard a preacher preaching something about the Bible with the people, the villagers, and she is shaken by realizing that is Alec D'Urberville. This guy tries to marry him, knowing that she doesn't love him, and he wounded her badly, but she refused and went back home. There, she nursed her mother back to health, but her father dies, thanks to the time he's from a public house, apparently. I know. And they are left with no possession because their house is a mortgage, their furniture is reckless and worn, not able to use. So Tess and a whole of her sister and brothers with their mother decided to move out, but then there was offered help from Alec Derfield. He stopped by and offered them help, and living with no choice, Tess have to say. While at Brazil, Tess' husband Angel Clare decided to forgive his wife after 1 year in Brazil, no longer cared about his wife. He refused to answer all of Tess' letter and decided to return back to England, but he cannot find Tess anywhere. In desperate need, he only found her mother, and her mother, John W. decided to talk about him about Tess working in this sea town village named Soborn, and set Angel Clare on his journey. Then he searched everywhere and finally found her name in this expensive boarding house called the Heron. Okay, I give up, really. There he meets this landlady who gives his number to Tess' room, and there Tess talk about him about he's been too late and she cannot meet anymore, and she's now married to Alec Derfield, the guy that do that to her, you know. Sadly, Angel Clare departed the sea town and go back to his family's home. However, on the train he suddenly see Tess running beside a train, and he stop it and he take hold of her and they go together on the train. On the train, he told him that in the mad dash of heartbrokenness, of sadness, of anger, of anguish, she kills Alec Derfield. What? I know, she kills him. Oh my gosh. Tess kills Alec Derfield, and soon after that, Mrs. something, who is the owner of the house, decided to check on them and found the dead body of Alec Derfield. She called the police, she rang alarm, but too late because Tess is on a flight away with Angel Clare. They spend days at the ancient mansion of somebody that nobody is living there, and they live as if they're on honeymoon, the honeymoon they never had. And Tess decided to lay down and sleep while a search party is coming closer and nearer. As the book ended, we learn that Tess is taken into custody and is hanged on top of the hills. And the book ended with Liza Lou, Tess' sister, now married to Angel Clare, holding each other as they stop seeing Tess' body being hung on top of the hills as the sun rises. And the word justice is done. The book ended there. So now, after finishing talking about the plot, I feel very kind of salty and angry about the people in the book. First off, we have Tess, who is a very pure and very good daughter to her mother, but her mother and her father are ignorant peasants. They don't care about their daughter. They don't care about what she has endured. And if you actually read the book, you can probably see that they are people without agency, and they don't know how to ask Tess, don't know how to teach Tess about sexuality, and when she gave birth to a son, Tess' father refused to let the priest baptize the child, which led to the child's death. Last but not least, Angel Clare and Alec Derfield. Alec Derfield is a much heavily criticized person, in my opinion, because he's a very cruel person. He used it very cruelly to seduce Tess, to rape her in the forest, and then to beg her for marriage. Like Claire, though the book did claim to be an angel, he's not such so. He's still a very kind of person to be selfish. He sleeps with another woman, but when his wife sleeps with another man, he cannot let that happen. Just let her deep into depressed, and he is also a main factor that led her to kill Alex. And last but not least, the analyzation of the character. Though the book talk mainly about the womanhood and the pureness of Tess. After being raped in the forest, Tess still maintained her goodness and kind heart in nature. While Alex and Angel, the two men who evolved to Tess, both of them show signs of dominating over Tess. Because Tess is a submissive and gentle person, two of these guys treat her like garbage. And now, last but not least, the theme of the novel. The novel have two main themes, like the unjustified of destiny and fate, under circumstances, and the reason men always dominating over women due to like richness, due to class, and due to circumstances. But now let's talk about the first point I have to make. Tess is always pushed into those circumstances we cannot escape. She's blamed for the death of her horse, and she is torn between giving to the raping of herself made by Alex and marry him, or to live her life independently and freely, knowing that she doesn't love Alex at all. And when she doesn't marry this guy who is a rapist, he doesn't get punished, and her mother blamed her for not marrying him. Wow. Last but not least, dominating men over women. Men in the book dominating in women. In the book, it also informs us that Tess Derfield, like the real Derfields, might have taken advantages and raped some village girl in his home. Because in the book, it always chronicles and portrays how men always dominating over women. Usually because these men are stronger, because of masculinity, or because they are richer than Tess, and Tess is. And now, the two symbols that I want to mention in the book. First of all, the prince. The horse named Prince is the family only source of income. The name Prince indicates the richness and ancient and noble. However, the horse had to suffer and live in the worst condition possible, same like Tess. Tess is a very noble woman, both in her name and both in her soul, yet she lived in such horrible and dirty condition, in poverty, being treated like garbage, but her soul still shines at the end of the novels. Secondly, Brazil. Brazil is a country in the South of America, which Robinson Crusoe made his fortune of. And the parting of Angel Clare leaving to Brazil also indicate that he wants the richness might be like Robinson Crusoe. And now, after I finish this analyze and the plot of the story, what's your opinion of this book? Like, what do you think of this book anyway? Now my recommendation. I highly recommend you guys sorting out and looking to read a book called Fall of the Crown, written by Thomas Hardy, because it's one of his very famous novel apart from Tess. And I highly recommend you guys to pick up a copy of Tess, because I do that. If you don't want to, then look up the PDF version in the description below. Check it out. I'll see you guys later. If you like this video, like, subscribe, don't comment down why you don't like it, so I can improve my content. And I will see you guys later. Peace.